All right, I want to get to this story because this one's been bugging me all day, too. I saw it early this afternoon in the Houston Chronicle. The Hempstead School Board, as written by Lacey Gray, won't renew the contract of a principal who instructed her students not to speak Spanish. In other words, she instructed her students to speak English. In a rapidly evolving district where more than half of the students, like many Texas schools, are now Hispanic. Now, let me just pause here for a second. You see the balkanization that's going on? We're going to have school systems where Spanish is the primary language because the demographic in those particular districts are rapidly evolving, becoming more Hispanic, or whatever they're becoming. Is that what we want in this country? Is that what we mean by assimilation? Oh, but I'm not done. Hempstead Middle School principal Amy Lacey was placed on paid, I feel sorry for this lady, I really do, was placed on paid administrative leave in December after reportedly announcing via intercom that students were not to speak Spanish on the school's campus. The Hispanic population of the rural area, roughly 50 miles northwest of Houston, is growing rapidly, and Latino advocates say it's important to allow Spanish in public schools. They're allowing Spanish in public schools, but she's simply saying that on campus you're to speak English so we can advance the English language so people will be successful in this country. When you start banning listen to this idiot. That's right, you jerk, you're an idiot. When you start banning aspects of ethnicity or cultural identity, says Augustine Pinedo, director of the League of United Latin American Citizens, Region 18. They have regions. It sends the message that the child is not wanted. Oh, really? When you're asking students to speak English to improve themselves in an English-speaking country, you're telling students they're not wanted? Who is this jerk? We don't want your color. We don't want your kind. They then tend to drop out early. Now, I will notice, ladies and gentlemen, that Augustine Pinedo gave his little cheap shot quote in what we call English, because he wanted all of us to read it. Didn't he? Such fast growth is pervasive in Texas, says Steve Murdoch, a professor at Rice University and director of the Hobby Center for the Study of Texas. Half of all Texas public school students are now Hispanic, he notes. When you look at issues related to education in Texas, to a great extent, you're looking at the education of Hispanic children. More the reason to teach English. More the reason for assimilation. So we have a healthy civil society. You know, you can go all the way back to St. Augustine, who talked about language. That a society has to have a common language. You have to have a common manner of communication. A common understanding of law. A common understanding of contracts. Of social relationships. It requires a common language. It doesn't mean you can't learn 50 other languages, but it means society has to have a common language. Civil rights advocates say Lacey's suspension may have set off a campaign to intimidate Hispanics, including the district superintendent, Delma Flores Smith. Oh, Smith, that's quite a Hispanic name. Delma Flores Smith. I'm not questioning it. They're calling for the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate possible civil rights violations. An FBI spokesman would not confirm an investigation. Flores Smith reports she's seen strangers watching her house. Hey, I have strangers watching my house too, lady. Oh, yes, I do. I even get threats. How do you like that? But I don't call in the Civil Rights Division. They're calling for the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate possible civil rights violations. Flora Smith says she's seen strangers watching her house and taking photos. I wonder if she knows Diane Frankenfeinstein, Mr. Producer. Any drones? She says vandals have trashed her yard and someone has rifled through her garbage. She's worried about her safety. Last month, school employees found that vandals had damaged the brakes of 3 Hempstead Independent School District buses. I hate to say this. This happens all the time. In all school districts. You're putting all of this on the shoulders of this principal who simply told these students, hey, speak English. Oh, my God, you can't say that. That means you're against people of color. You're against people who speak different languages. That means you don't care about children. Quite the opposite. It means you want all these children to succeed. And what you have is these left-wing, radical, ethnic front groups pushing their agenda every way and every day, and especially in our school systems. So what are we going to have around this country? Spanish-speaking school districts? English-speaking school districts? What are we going to have? What a disaster. Anyway, so that's what's going on here. Let's see. Let's go back to this Pinedo guy. At the school district's board meeting in January, Augustine Pinedo read a list of American founding fathers who spoke multiple languages. They included Benjamin Franklin, French, and Thomas Jefferson, French, Italian, Spanish, and Latin. What does that have to do with anything? Mr. Pinedo, what language did they speak at the Constitutional Convention, Mr. Pinedo? French, Spanish, Latin, Italian, or English? What language are our founding documents written in, Mr. Pinedo? English? And even though they're written in English, ladies and gentlemen, liberals have trouble understanding them, don't they? Liberals have trouble comprehending them, don't they? It's in plain English. Well, wait a minute. Penumbras and emanations. Right there, penumbras and emanations. I see them. And it's written in English. And they still can't comprehend it or choose not to. I'm going to tell you folks something. This is very, very true. Language is crucial to a society. A common language is crucial to a society. Of course people can speak multiple languages and learn other languages. That's perfectly fine. Of course people can come to this country and know their native language and speak their native language in their home or place of business if they wish to. But in our public institutions, you encourage the common language because you want to encourage the civil society. You want to encourage assimilation. And dare I say patriotism. And dare I say support for the culture that people have escaped to. This used to be non-controversial. This used to be really basic stuff. Immigrants come into this country and they learn the language. Oh, they speak the old language in home or during holidays or in church or whatever. That's perfectly fine. Speak any language you want. But in our courts, in our schools, so forth and so on, it's English. Or we will cease to exist. It's that simple.